Hi everyone, happy Saturday. Welcome to today's special video. Now, this is something that I kind of teased about doing in at least, I think, both of yesterday's videos. But we're going to kind of do this because I said last month I was going to try to do this at least on a month-to-month basis. So, for today's video, we are going to go over at least a few updates on the federal government. And oh boy, there's quite a few changes. All of them having to deal with Congress, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. No changes, but we'll still go over them, just as a refresher. Alright, starting with the legislative branch in Congress, we're going to start over on the Senate side. Alright, the Senate is still a Democrat majority, but it's a slight majority. And in terms of party membership, we have 49 Republicans, 48 Democrats, and 3 independents with no vacancies. Now, you're probably thinking, well, wait a minute. If the Democrats control the Senate, how come they only have 48 and not 51? Well, because the 3 independents clause alongside with the Democrats. So, yeah, that's why the Democrats control the Senate. I would also like to point out, according to this little sticky note I have right here that's completely covered in hair on the, the sticky side, is that the simple majority in the Senate is 51, but a supermajority, which is about 2/3, is about 67. Alright, now the President Pro Tempore, which is the 4th most powerful person in the country, is Patty Murray of the state of Washington, and she's a Democrat. And she is the first President Pro Tempore of the Senate, I might add. So yeah, she made history during this Congress. The current majority leader is Senator Chuck Schumer of New York, who is a Democrat. And current minority leader is Republican Mitch McConnell of Kentucky. And like how I said, there are no vacancies in the Senate. Oh boy. Now we jump over to the House of Representatives that just recently got changed and updated. Like, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago maybe? So, right now, the Republicans control the House, in which the simple majority in the House, with having 435 members, you really need at least 218 for majority, and for anything to the pass, for bills and legislation. So, on that note, the Republicans have 221, the Democrats have 213, and we have 1 vacancy. And we'll get to that in just a bit. The Speaker of the House. Now, as you may have heard, at the very beginning of the year, it took 15 rounds for the Republican from California, Kevin McCarthy, to become House Speaker. But in early October, the House decided for the first time ever to vote and remove Kevin McCarthy as House Speaker. So, yeah, the House was without a Speaker, which means stuff can't get done. But there was at least a Speaker Pro Tem on standby, and that was Representative Patrick McHenry of North Carolina, and he kind of controlled the House proceedings up until they decided to elect the new Speaker, Mike Johnson of Louisiana, who is, Republican. And he was a candidate that the entire Republican caucus can get behind. So, with that being said, the current majority leader is Steve Scalise, who is a Republican from Louisiana. The current minority leader is Hakeem Jeffries, a Democrat from New York. Now we're going to jump into the vacancy. Roughly a few weeks ago, the House voted to remove George Santos of New York for, lying his way into Congress. And so they did. And he is now the sixth person from the House of Representatives to be expelled from the House of Representatives. Now, I don't know if that means that he can never come back in the future, but who's to say? So he got expelled, voted out, kicked out. And that is where the vacancy is in his district of New York 3. Now, there is a special election scheduled to be on the day before Valentine's Day next year, on February 13th. Now, there are 3 other potential vacancies that will happen within the next few months. Starting out, we have California 20, which is former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. He said he's going to resign by the end of the year. And the other day, he gave his farewell address, in Congress. So we'll see how that happens. And, obviously, McCarthy's Republican. We also have a potential New York 26, which is Brian Higgins, who is a Democrat. He's expected to resign in February, so that way he can become president of the Shia's Performing Arts Center. We don't know when that's going to take place, but I'll keep you guys updated whenever that happens. And coming a little closer to me, we have Ohio 6, Congressman Bill Johnson, who is a Republican, also announced that he will resign by March 1st to become president of Youngstown State University. So we'll see exactly how that happens. But that's currently where we stand. There's only officially 1 vacancy. But, only time will tell of what will happen next. So now we jump over to the White House with, the executive branch, and we go over to line of succession. Yay! Okay, so starting off, how I always like to have the President and Chief Justice in there for fun because, why not? It's a lot easier to visualize everything for me, at least. So, starting with the President, it's still Biden. Vice President, it's still Kamala Harris. The Speaker of the House, it is Mike Johnson since October 25th. President Pro Tempore is still Patty Murray. Secretary of State, still Antony Blinken. The Treasury, still Janet Yellen. Defense, still Lloyd Austin III. Attorney General, still Merrick Garland. The Interior, still Deb Haaland. Agriculture, still Vlasic. Tom Vlasic, to be exact. Commerce is still Gina Raimondo. Secretary of Labor, it's still Julie Su, and she's still acting since April. And she's probably going to remain acting pretty much for, I'm assuming, at least until the end of this term for Biden. Whether or not if he gets reelected or not, we'll see in next year. And I'm going to cover that. Oh, God. What am I doing to myself? Health and Human Services, it's still Xavier Baraka. Housing and Urban Development, still Marcia Fudge. Transportation is still Pete Buttigieg. Energy, it's still Jennifer Granholm. Education, still Miguel Cardona. Veterans Affairs, it's still Dennis McDough. And Homeland Security, it is still Alejandro Mayorkas. who a lot of members of Congress really wants him impeached and removed from office from, the border situation. And for fun, I always like to throw in the Chief Justice, and it's, obviously still John Roberts since 2005. It's almost going on 20 years of being Chief Justice. So in terms of political party, we have Democrat, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, 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 Independent, Independent, Democrat, 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 and Independent. Alright, and speaking of Chief Justice Roberts, we're going to talk about the Supreme Court. So, we have, obviously, Chief Justice John Roberts, appointed by George W. Bush, with a vote of 78 to 22, and he began his term in September of 2005. Next up, we have Clarence Thomas, appointed by George Bush Sr., with a vote of 52-48, and he's been in office since October of 1991. Samuel Alito, appointed by Bush Jr., with a vote of 58-42, and he's been in office since January of 2006. And we have Sonia Sotomayor, appointed by Obama, with a vote of 68-31, and she's been in there since August of 2009. Ilana Kagan, appointed by Obama, with a vote of 63-37, and she's been in there since August of 2010. And then fast forward, we have Neil Gorsuch, appointed by Trump, with a vote of 54-45, and he's been in there since April of 2017. We have Brett Kavanaugh, appointed by Trump, with a vote of 50-48, and he's been in there since October of 2018. Next up, we have Amy Coney Barrett, appointed by Trump, with a vote of 52-48, and she's been in there since October of 2020. And finally, the most recent one to be added into the Supreme Court, we have Ketanji Brown Jackson, appointed by Biden, with a vote of 53-47, and she's been in there since June of 2022. So yeah, she's been there for a little over a year now. Okay, so that is where we currently stand with, our makeup of government. But, yeah, I'm going to attempt to try to get through it at least once a month, like how I promised last month in November. So just bear with me. It might take a while, but I will do one of these every single month, either in the beginning or in the middle of the month. I'm not going to try to do it at the end of the month because that's too much. There's too much going on at the end of each month, so I just can't. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in this, what's the next video? I don't even remember. Let me look. Oh, yeah. We'll see you in the next Q&A video, which will go up on Monday. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. Alright, we'll see you then.